It's coming up to the start of Lent now, as well as Ramadan, I believe. These are the two main fasting seasons in the UK. And so I've been thinking a bit about the tradition of fasting and the role that it plays in today's world, both from a religious and from a practical point of view. I don't think Lent means much to most British people anymore. If anything, I'm quite sure Pancake Day is more widely recognised at this point. So if you're not too familiar, I'll just give a quick overview. Lent's the period of 40 days, which doesn't include Sundays, of fasting leading up to Easter, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Traditionally, fasting in this sense meant avoiding certain foods, so specifically meat, fish, dairy, eggs, alcohol, and even cooking oil. The reason for this isn't that these food groups are bad for you or that they're in any way sinful. It's sort of the opposite. It's actually that they're good foods, they're enjoyable foods. So, in a time when good food was much less affordable, quality cuts of meat and nice alcohols like wine would be seen as a luxury, so it's food that's meant to be enjoyed. I think we have quite a different view of food nowadays, because we've got supermarkets everywhere. We can buy pre-prepared food for really cheap. For a lot of people, food is almost an inconvenience. We've seen the rise of meal replacements like Huel. People eat meal deals while they're watching TV. It's something that we do in the background. It's not something we focus on so much. We don't appreciate food the way that we used to. We're still able to. It's just far more abundant now, and it's less valuable to us. So the purpose of cutting out things like meat, dairy, and alcohol was to purposefully deny yourself of pleasure. When you eat only plain foods like vegetables and grains, it meant that people were only focusing on the bare minimum. And more importantly, they weren't distracted by the food that they were eating. And I think distraction is the key word here for modern people, because with the sudden explosion of technology that we've seen in the last 100 years, I would argue meat is now pretty low down on the distraction hierarchy. The point I'm trying to get at here is that over 1,000 years ago, people who had far fewer luxuries than we do made a point of making their lives even more minimal. They got rid of the little luxury that they had for over 40 days in a row every year. Nowadays, we don't even think of doing this. A lot of Western people anyway wouldn't even think to do this. Why would we stop doing something that we enjoy or something that brings us pleasure or happiness? But whether you're religious or not, I do believe there's a lot to be learned from these traditions that we've lost. I think that fasting, in whatever form that takes, not only benefits us spiritually, but mentally. Stripping your life back and removing luxuries that you're completely accustomed to gives you a new appreciation for everyday things once you reintroduce them into your life. It gives you a different perspective that's impossible to see without spending some time on the other side. I still definitely think that fasting from foods has its benefits, and of course I'd encourage you to stick to any traditional fasting rules that your religion has. But I'd also recommend picking something that you use every day and going even just a couple of weeks without it. It doesn't have to be for Lent or for Ramadan. If you're not religious, just pick any block of a couple of weeks and decide, okay, I'm going to delete Instagram for this period, or I'm going to go without my phone for this period. That one's a bit tougher. Or try cooking every meal from scratch for a few weeks. I think that's something that a lot of people don't do nowadays, especially young people. We're really focused on convenient things like I say, meal deals, microwavable food, freezer food. If you stop using those for even a couple of weeks, you will start to really appreciate the food that you've put effort into making. It's not some factory produced thing that you have no connection to. So I think there are tons of little things that you could fast from that will have a bigger impact on your life than you would realise. Sometimes this means a new appreciation for what you've fasted from, but also it can mean the realisation that you didn't really need that thing as badly as you thought. Social media is one of these examples. A lot of people, especially young people, have made social media accounts when they were 13, maybe younger now, and have never gone a day without using them. And that's insane when you think about it. You've spent almost your entire life, for some people like more than half of your life, plugged into something that connects you to everyone. You're constantly seeing people that you don't know doing things that you can't do, or with things that you can't. And I think it really skews your perspective, and it's rare nowadays that we go any length of time without this. So I think it's worth trying that. That's something I'm a big advocate for, is just take even 2 weeks. Start small. Take even 2 weeks and delete one social media app off of your phone, or block it on your browser. You'll realise how little you needed it. I think that first step is the toughest for most people, because you think, oh, what's going to happen if I'm not there? It's the fear of missing out, as people say. But once you're gone, you'll realise how little impact it actually had on your life, or how little positive impact it actually had on your life. I know this has only been a very short reflection, but I do hope it's given you some inspiration for the upcoming fasting season. I personally think that fasting from technology and the internet, even only partially, is one of the best things that you can do for your mind. So if you ask me, I would say that the social media recommendation I gave before is the way to go. Peace and quiet are pretty hard to come by otherwise. Try it out.